everyone, it's Ginger from Stamping the Cape, and I'm here with my third June Stamp Club project. I've been featuring the Verdant Garden photopolymer stamp set that's in the new annual catalog, as well as the Designer Series paper, the Garden Lane Designer Series paper, which you'll find both on pages, let's see, I think I mentioned it in my first video, but it's pages 40 and 41 of the new annual catalog. And if you'd like a new catalog, let me know. I'd be happy to drop one in the mail to you. So anyway, we're going to be doing our final project. These were the first two cards. This was the first one I did using the Stamparatus and the stamp from the set to do this design technique, and this was the second one featuring the Designer Series paper, and then this is the third one, which features some additional Designer Series paper. It's just so pretty. I love these colors, and they just spoke to me. So let's get cracking. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on this sentiment, this background. So I've got a piece of Whisper White, and I'm going to be using soft sea foam. Excuse me, no, that's mint macaron. I'm using all these different greens that are featured in the Designer Series paper. They feature all of our greens other than Old Olive, I believe, and Shaded Spruce. So trying to keep them all straight is a little bit taxing, to say the least. So I'm going to use the background of the vines from the Verdant Garden stamp set, which is this image right here. And I'm just going to stamp some, and I'm just going to check because I did this a while ago. I don't remember if I stamped off. So let me just check the color. Yes, I did stamp off. So, and I think I'm going to use my foam pad because that seems to work the best. And I'm going to use my paper to protect my mat because I'm going to stamp off the edge. So we'll stamp off here and stamp on there. It just gives a nice little soft background to our sentiment, which is going to be stamped in basic black, or tuxedo black Memento ink. And then we're going to be using some blends to do this butterfly, and I'm going to show you, hopefully you'll be, oh dang it. I forgot. Talking and stamping doesn't work for me. I forgot to stamp off. Stamp off. I've got some Wink of Stella on the butterfly, and it really comes across quite nicely in person. So I'm going to, hopefully you can see that. But and hopefully I will remember to stamp off while I'm talking. Let's see. We'll go in here. And we'll just put one more in there for good measure over here. Oops. There we go. All right. So I'm going to use my Stamparatus because I want to make sure my thank you so very much comes out nice and crisp. So I'm using the Butterfly Gala stamp set, and the thank you so very much is from that stamp set. Get our paper lined up. Let me close this ink pad and put that away. So I'm going to just line up my cardstock here, and I'm just going to throw it on there. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight or square. Okay, let's get that lined up again, make sure. All right, I'm using the Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and I'm going to use my stamp case as a brace for my inking. Let's see how we do here. I sometimes have to push really hard when I'm near the magnet. That magnet is just slightly taller. Oh, actually, that looks pretty good. You know what? I think I'm going to go with that. Why risk fate? So, all right. So let me put my Stamparatus away. And Now I'm going to do my butterfly while we have the ink out. And I'm using this really pretty butterfly that has a leaf pattern. And as I said, I'm hoping you can see this. I don't know if you can see that. On the black, I put Wink of Stella, and it makes those bottom leaf portions of the butterfly really pop. And I'm using a smaller block because I'm really not concerned that you can cut off. These are double butterflies. If you wanted to, you could cut off that butterfly so you're only stamping one, but I'm not concerned about it. So, and I think I'm going to use my foam pad because I want to make sure that solid black gets transferred. Okay. Beautiful. All right. So we're cooking with all burners this time. Okay. So I'm going to make sure this is dry because I'm going to be using blends on this butterfly, and I'm using the dark mint macaron and the light mossy meadow. And for some reason, sometimes the lighter colors will make the tuxedo black memento bleed a little bit. So you want to make sure it is dry, especially where I have that dark black solid image, because I am going to be coloring in between there. So I'm going to start with the dark mint macaron, and I'm going to be filling in the back areas of this wing of the butterfly, and it's a leaf pattern, which is kind of neat. And I'm not worrying about doing any shading, but I like using the blends because they just the ink just gets applied so evenly. You don't end up with streaks like you can sometimes do with the Stampin' Up markers. The Stampin' Up markers are great if you want to color onto a stamp and have a multiple colored image or sentiment, because you can apply them directly to a stamp, but the blends you can't do that because their ink is alcohol and it will deteriorate either your red rubber or your photopolymer over time if it's consistently done. Plus, I think they stain. They have more of an apt to stain your stamps. So okay, so I'm going to go in with Mossy Meadow, and I'm going to speed this video up so you don't have to sit through all my long coloring. Oops, I just saw a spot that needs mint macaron. Missed that. Okay, hopefully I got it all now. And light Mossy Meadow. All right, and I forgot to bring over a small block, but we'll try using this one so that we can do the center portion of the body of the butterfly in black as well. Hopefully I can do it with this big block. But I just think those two colors look really, the mint macaron, the dark mint macaron and the light Mossy Meadow kind of look really neat together. All right, let's see how I do with this little body of the butterfly. Oh, pretty good. All right. Batting 1,000. This is scary. And I'm going to punch it out before I put the Wink of Stella on it. So this is the butterfly coordinating punch. And again, I'm not worried about that. Oops, I'm going to chop his head off, I guess. I'm not worried about that little butterfly because that's not part of my image. And I should have, do I still have? Yes, I do. I should have used this Post-it to give me some maneuvering room for that butterfly. And I'm just going to catch the top of his head. Okay. There. Okay. So I grab my Wink of Stella. I'm just going to paint the these little portions of his body, wing. Okay, so I think we can, oh, I need to die cut this. I'm using the nested labels dies for this. And I'm using, I think it's the 4th largest die. I think this is the 4th. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4th largest. Yep. And then for the background, I'm just going to cut it by hand. I didn't want a wide rim. I'm using Mossy Meadow, so I didn't want a wide rim. So I'm just going to cut it by hand, eyeballing it, hoping I can do a decent job of it. And again, I use double-sided, not double-sided, removable adhesive when I do this. To hold my die in place, because my pads tend not to stay too straight. So this keeps them in place, and it comes off nice and clean. It doesn't stick to the paper. Okay, we'll get that cut. All right, so I have a piece of Mossy Meadow, and again, I have a PDF on my blog that'll have all the measurements and whatnot for this. And I don't want to forget the twine. We're using twine that's from the Magnolia Lane suite, and this is the Garden Lane suite. So I'm just going to grab my scissors. I'm using my large scissors for this. Just makes it, I think, a little easier. And I'm doing this video later in the day, so I'm trying to still catch sun here. You can see the shadows are getting longer, so I'm trying to rush to get these videos done. All right, I'm going to risk this cutting a little bit off. You could use a trimmer for this if you wanted, rather than scissors if you don't feel comfortable, but that looks pretty good. It's close enough for handmade. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my DSP to, this is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and this is 4 by 5 1/4. And I probably should have used my multi-purpose glue, because I can shift it around, but I'm going to be brave, and we'll see if I can get this evenly attached without making a big mess. When you have a small 1/8 of an inch border around, it gets very tricky trying to get it lined up the first time around. So I'm hoping I can do this. Well, it's going to be good enough. All right. So as I said, in the Magnolia Suite, there's a ribbon and a twine combo. I think this is sort of like a linen thread type stuff. And so what I do is I take snail and I run it along the back of my card to give my twine something to attach to, so that it stays stable. And I'm going to run this around 3 times and try to get that straight. And if you want to be real particular, you can get a ruler and make sure you're even on both sides. Okay, I'm just going to cut this, attach this back here. Looks pretty good, I think. I don't know, for some reason my eye always tends to lean things on the right side, tends to put them up high. All right, so this is an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of mint macaron cardstock. And scored in half. And I keep forgetting to bring my bone folder over, but this will do. And we're going to attach our background piece. And this hopefully won't be as difficult to center. I've got a little more room to play. There we go. All right, and then this is going to go on with dimensionals. And I'm going to put 2 below and 2 above the twine. So it's going to straddle that twine. And then I do need my bone folder, but I can probably, so what I've done is I used the bone folder, but I can use my marker, and I'm just going to curve those top wings in a little bit. And I'm also going to take another piece, just a little tiny piece of this twine, and I'm going to create an antenna for my butterfly. So I'm going to take fold it in half, and grab a glue dot. I'm going to grab a glue dot and stick it on the back of my butterfly right here. And pinch that so that my butterfly has some antennae. And I can trim those down. And I thought it kind of gets a little bit frayed a little bit, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool, because if you've ever seen a butterfly close up, or a moth or whatever, they tend to have these little fuzzy pieces on their antennae. And I'm going to pop 1 dimensional in the middle of his back. He will stick up there right on here. So there. So that's my last project for this month. I hope you liked those. And again, if you place a $35 order using this month's host code by June 30th, I'll send you the supplies to make all 3 of my June Stamp Club projects. All you'll need are the inks and the stamps to go with it. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back with more projects over the course of the month and introducing our new annual catalog. Thanks again. Bye-bye.